still have kind of a nasty cough from yesterday, which is kind of, it does affect the pump. Fuck. In one of those sets of cable presses I was doing for chest, I, I had like take a second to get some coughs out before I kept doing reps. Not ideal. But I don't really feel sick or anything, so at least in terms of my subjective, like, overall feeling, I think I'm good. But plan for today is quads at a little bit more of a hardcore gym around me, which has one thing in particular, which is honestly the only reason why I'm going to this gym. And it's this kind of fancy pants leg press, where instead of the weight moving up a sled as you press it, it's this whole sort of apparatus where it's more of like a pendulum leg press, if you can imagine. The weight is suspended using, a bunch of steel bars and whatever from, kind of a little bit above head level. So as you press the weight outwards and it kind of swings up, it gets heavier throughout the extension. So in a way, it's almost like fucking constant tension, because you got to remember, as your quads get near straight in a pressing movement, that's when they're the strongest. And when you're deep in the hole, that's when you're, well, not the weakest, but that's when you're going to have the most tension on your quads. So this machine is kind of, I was about to say brilliant, like, oh, it's freaking brilliant. But it is interesting because it's a very different strength curve than normal, because typically when I do a barbell squat, it's still fucking heavy as hell. But once I get up to like halfway up the rep, there's not really a chance that I'm going to fail it. Like once I get up a certain level of, well, like squatting, I'm pretty much good. I can finish the rep pretty much no matter how fatigued I am. And if I can't get to that certain level, then I'm going to have to fail it and rack it. But with a movement like this, the difficulty of the rep is almost inverted. Because at the bottom, when I'm deep in the hole, my legs are coming up against my chest, that's where the weight's the lightest. So that's kind of the break part. That's like sort of the easy part of the rep. I can sit down in the hole for a second and kind of like use that as a rest, and then try to finish the rest of the rep by pressing it up. So it's just kind of like the opposite of how a normal squat or a normal leg press feels. And then apart from that, which just does make it kind of a cool movement, I don't get very much glute activation. I was just saying this yesterday when I was talking about how I'm really trying to focus on not using my front delts when I do chest, because I have kind of a proclivity to kind of hunch over and use them to press instead of just relying on my chest. And that same logic applies with everything else, I'm not really a massive fan of like a typical sled leg press, or just some pressing machines in general for quads, because I get a lot of glutes, and I'm not training glutes, I'm training quads. So it makes me say, this movement I like, this machine I like, and then to other ones which really just get my glutes firing, I say I'll pass. That's also part of the reason why I squat with my heels elevated on like a little bumper plate. And it's not just for fun. For me to be able to get my knees further in front of my toes, pretty much as much as possible, that puts way more tension on my quads and makes my quads do most of the work instead of my glutes. But then also, squatting heel elevated for me feels better on my knees. I actually didn't squat for a while because I would squat flat-footed with kind of a wider stance, like how typically people would recommend you squat. And something about the biomechanics of my knees, or like the angle of my hips, it just wasn't doing it for me. And I kind of had squats kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But for whatever reason, eventually I started to try kind of the real narrow, like, I mean, my heels are nearly touching. And then with heels elevated, and for me, that feels fucking sick. Knees feel good. Quads feel like they're doing all the work. And I'm fucking strong. Perfect. So, may do squats today. May not. It kind of sucks because there's 2 squat racks at this gym. Or 2 kinds of squat racks. There's one kind of old school one where it's like an angled wall of just pins, like in pumping iron when they're squatting. It's that kind of rack, which is good because I like to reach very wide. Like I want my hands almost touching the collars of the barbell, just because my shoulders and my chest is so tight. And usually those squat racks let me do that, but they don't have safety bars. And like, you gotta remember, if you're squatting hundreds of pounds above your fucking body, not above your head, but you know, just below, shit can fucking happen, man. I've failed squat reps just because I kind of lost my balance and I fell a little bit too far forward, or I started to lean a little bit too far backwards in the hole. And you know, not even because of my fucking strength. Shit just fucking happens. And for me to like try to dump a squat, I don't know about you, but that just seems fucking scary. I'm sure if I've done it before, I'd feel more comfortable, but it's just a very abrupt move. I say this all the time when anybody asks me like if I can still do like gymnastics shit, like doing a flip on the ground, or like how I would do like in a just in any really in any like very athletic endeavor. And look, I am not trained for that, at least not right now. You know, I am exposed to very high loads, but in very, at least reasonably slow and controlled manners. So for me to go from my, you know, pretty controlled squat tempo to having to like do a big jump, look, that just seems kind of freaky. So I always, at least as often as possible, try to squat in a rack with safeties or straps, or like in a monolift with those like with the Kevlar bands. Those are cool too, because you never know. You never know, man. And I'm not a huge fan of like just having somebody spot me. Like that would make sense. Like, oh, well, if you're worried about failing a squat, just have someone spot you. But what if they like accidentally push me a little bit the wrong way, and then I end up falling anyway on the way up, or like I have to lose the weight and push it onto them. For me, I think squats are. I don't want anybody messing with me. I got a lot of load. I just want to be left alone in a way. But yeah, so just quads, leg extensions to start, for 2 reasons. I'll explain this and then we can actually get started. So I like a few sets of leg extensions to start. For one thing, they're going to warm up my knees, and it just kind of gets my quads ready for the rest of the lift, you know? Like, I used to squat as my first movement. I would do a little bit of leg extensions to warm up, but nothing like an actual working set. And I would just, you know, 1 plate for a few reps, 2 for a few, 3 for a few, 4 for a few. And then whatever my working weight was, I just jump right into it. And my quads were not even close to pumped. So for whatever reason, eventually, I wanted to do leg extensions first. You know, like a few hard sets, actual working sets, like approaching failure. And then squats just felt so much better. Like pressing with a pump, I'm not sure it's like a more productive state to like fire my quads or whatever, but just based on how it feels, I do like it. It's more blood in the area. I don't know, I just feel nicer. So I know for a fact leg extensions will be the starting movement, and then it'll just kind of go from there, you know? I'm not exactly sure what could be next. Definitely, well, I can't even say definitely, I'm not sure. I'll have to see. But more than likely, either barbell squats, that machine leg press I like, maybe Smith machine squats. You know, a few different pressing movements at my disposal that I like. So after leg extensions, I'll just pick the one that makes the most sense to me based on how I feel. But let's see how this works. Let's get in there. Okay. A few more. Bit heavier. That was a little bit too light for a real set. Just count it as a warm-up. A little heavier. Okay. I think I want to do Smith squats now. That's probably a good idea. Let's go see how they feel. If the first feeler rep feels like shit, I'll just pick something else. Bye. Ah. 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 Okay. Let's sit for a minute. Maybe one more. I almost lightened the weight. But I don't think I thought that because I thought that lighter weight would be better. I think a small part of my mind said, oh, do a light one. It'll be easier. What the fuck was I thinking? Come on. Ah. Oh, God. Oh, shit. A little bit lower reps than I would have wanted. But I think that's enough for the Smith. Let's move on to something else. Fuck. Oh my gosh. Yeah, fuck. So I did a feeler rep on that machine leg press over there. The pendulum one I was talking about. And fucking with just 3 plates, I was not feeling it. Like, my quads were tired to the point of not even just typical discomfort. But I think instead of going for another load-based set, I'll do a few squeezing ones, even maybe just one, depending on how good it feels. But plan here is lightweight, 5 reps, hold it at the top for a second, on the left side, and then on the right, then the left, then the right, back and forth, until I feel like, you know, I've done enough. And then honestly, after just one of these, that could be it. Maybe 2, maybe 3, but you know, I'm open to doing as many as I need. So I'm kind of judging it based off of my subjective perception of completion, which I think after you lift for a few years, you start to get the idea of when you feel like, okay, the workout's about done. We've only got a little bit more, which usually is around 6 to 9 sets for me, at least historically. Actually, what the fuck did I just... That was not the right song. Ah, there we go. Okay, last one. Okay. Yeah. Let's pose down. Let's see how quads are looking. Fuck. Glad there's no stairs to this gym. Yeah, I'd be fucking lying to you if I didn't just sit down for like 5 minutes on the block and catch my breath. Maybe not 5, but a few. So yeah, let's see how quads feel. In terms of my preparation, I feel like I've been kind of going on a. I've been talking about that a lot for the last few days. Today was pretty good. Massive breakfast. I'm talking pancakes, bacon, 2 eggs and some toast. Big ass nap. 2 liters of water with electrolytes, and a big meal. So, in terms of everything I could do to ensure I'd have a good lift, fuck man. And I got a good amount of sleep too with a nap. Very good. So, oh yeah. I'd be lying if I said that that was as much volume as I wanted to do. I think I wanted to do a little bit more pressing, but just by feeling it did not seem like the best move. So the bread and butter was the leg extensions. The main course was those 2 fucking Smith machine squats. Now, in terms of the overall fatigue I feel, this is a good quad day. But let's see how they're looking. I mean, you tell me, dude, that's a fucking wide ass quad. Reasonable sweep for sure. Ooh. I'm not upset with that. Yeah, fuck yeah. So, starting to lose a bit of separation, aka getting some more body fat on my frame, which I am all for. That's just fucking part of the bulk. And it's kind of showing me that I'm actually getting heavier. Oh, dude, yeah, what am I talking about? That's fucking killer. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Man, this is a really good quad pump. Honestly, just based on how it feels, like before I got the pump cover pants off, I thought this pump might have been a little bit scrappier. Ugh. And part of that is because I think I'm a little sick right now, which isn't awesome. I probably sound a little scrappier or coarser. Honestly, I think that's why I didn't do much talking during this lift. I kind of wanted to just record the sets and move on. But yeah, really good quad day. I can guarantee that when I go home tonight, eat my food and sleep, that some fucking nutrients and carbs and everything else is going to get funneled straight into these vastus lateralis and medialis and femoralis, whatever the fucking words are. But I'm glad I did that second set of squats with that weight. Because honestly, I think if I were to have dropped it to 4 plates, I don't think I would have done a set that was as intense. Because for me, with the pressing for quads, I think my weak point, which I need to work on, not muscularly, but mentally, is being able to handle a long, strenuous set of pressing. Like leg extensions, I don't mind a 20 rep or even a 25 rep set, because I'm just fucking busting them out quick. But with pressing, the last 5 reps of like, you know, a 315 squat to failure, if you're doing like 20 reps, dude, those are torturous. So I think that's one of my weakest parts of my training. Like, I have no problem taking hamstrings to the fucking limit. Same thing with curls, triceps for the most part. I mean, fucking everything. But quads demands the most, let's just say, mental fortitude for me. So I think that's a part of quads I need to work on, which is maybe doing more lighter pressing work, like, you know, high ass reps. Like, it may not have been the worst move for me to have gone back to, or not even have gone back to, but instead of doing 5 plates on the Smith, do 3 real slow, and you're trying to hit failure that way. Like, rather than make the constraint that is going to make me hit failure sooner, the weight itself, you know, constrain the set to doing lighter weight, slower reps, and just dealing with that burning factor. So, you know, there's a fucking reason we say feel the burn. That shit's legit. And I think I've been training, not babyish, but I may be avoiding the hard work of a light pressing set. And 9 times out of 10, now that I say this, I kind of feel like a fool. But, you know, typically the shit that you actually want is through or after the work that you don't want to do. So I think I'm really just calling myself out here. So next quad day, there will be a light and, let's say, lengthy set of presses of some variety. Be it machine leg press, squat, Smith squat, or hack squat. Something lighter weight-ish. And maybe I'll have somebody help me with assisted reps at the end too. So make sure I get on that. So whatever video comes before my next quad day, if I see a ton of comments, that'll definitely help me remember. But honestly, I shouldn't have to rely on you guys to tell me that shit. I'm supposed to be on my fucking A game. But yeah, so that's my plan for next quad day. But today, super good. Adductors felt good too, even on those heavy squats, which is a good sign for me. So I better get home and eat, and it's only fucking 5:45. If I get in, I don't know how many calories I've eaten so far. I didn't actually track it because we went out for breakfast, and then my lunch was something that I bought yesterday, so I didn't actually measure out all the macros, but I'll estimate it and then try to hit my 5,000 calorie limit as soon as possible. Fuck, man, if I can get to bed at 9 o'clock, that would be fucking nuts. I love having a good schedule like that, but I'm just such a chump when it comes to putting my phone down and not scrolling. So, a couple things to work with, but let's get out of here. Oh, fuck. I am nice and flush in the face, presumably from those squats. I would, oh my goodness. It's kind of, I mean, it's just from the pressure, but when I look at myself in the mirror mid-squat or either Smith or barbell, I'm always so surprised by how red my face gets. But a really good fucking quad day. Especially for what I feel now to be a very fucking significant amount of fatigue. I'm fucking tired. Yeah, I think it's from being sick a little bit. Just something about all this is not ideal. Not awesome. Not necessarily my favorite thing ever. But whatever. Whatever. What are you gonna do here? What am I supposed to do? Or what is anybody supposed to do? Just complain and whine? No, man, come on. Don't be a fucking wuss, right? Get fucking real. So plan now is just go home and eat. I got a bunch of I don't know what they're called. It's like a Little Debbie style treat where it's 2 sort of very soft brown cookies with some, like, I mean, really just fucking sugary icing in the middle. About 50 grams of carbs each, 11 grams of fat. And I will certainly not, you know, try to say that that's a good source of carbs. It's simply a, let's just say a bombshell to your blood sugar. But very quick carbs. So I'll probably have a few of those. And honestly, when it comes to sugar intake and simple carbs, it's probably not your best bet every meal of the day. In no way do I think you should get, in a bulking context, you know, 90% of your carbs from fucking Skittles or something. You're totally gonna wreck your, well, just all sorts of shit. And I eat a lot of sugar too, but most of my carbs are from more typical carb sources. Been doing a lot of rice, a lot of breads, a bit of potatoes, you know, stuff like that. But the one time which I will say is not going to hurt you to get some sugars in your frame, and as long as you're exercising consistently, I don't think it's going to hurt you much at all. But pre and post workout, simple sugars, simple carbs, I'm talking, I mean, even just straight up candy, I think that may have, actually not may have, certainly have performance benefits. Because you got to remember, just being fucking carved up and, you know, having blood glucose readily available to break down for energy, you're gonna fucking feel it, you know. And maybe not so much when you're bulking. Like right now, if I were to, you know, pound a Gatorade with my pre-workout, it's not like I would feel an energy boost. I'm already full of carbs just steadily throughout the day. But when I diet down, and I'm, in a few months when I start trying to diet, and I'm only eating like 250 grams of carbs per day, about 100 grams of those carbs are going to be pre-workout and post-workout. So post-workout being really just whatever I want, some kind of treat, which I'll explain in a minute. But pre-workout, I mean, fuck, man, same thing. Something very quickly digestible. You got to remember, sugars are just carbs. And, what would you call wheat bread or whatever else, or sweet potatoes? Complex carbs, longer glucose chains, which take longer to break down before the energy in them is readily available for your body to use. So what I'm trying to say is, some simple sugars pre-workout, you should feel a little bit of extra energy. And then post-workout, the consumption of real simple sugars, honestly, I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but I should be doing some dextrose shakes right now. There is kind of a little bit of a leveraging pathway of, having some real simple sugar post-workout, and that's to spike your insulin, which every time you eat anything, your insulin spikes. That's sort of the, like this hormone shot out of your, your pituitary or your pancreas? I don't remember. But, you eat some shit and your body just releases a whole pump of insulin to tell your fucking cells, hey, you got some nutrients floating around your bloodstream. You gotta absorb that shit. That's why people who are, diabetic, for whatever reason, they need to take insulin throughout the day when they eat, because their body doesn't pump it out, and then they're just gonna go hyperglycemic. They'll have too much blood sugar floating around, which, not good. Not freaking good. But post-workout, simple sugars, large insulin spike, at least relative to other foods. Like if you eat a bowl of oatmeal with 50 grams of carbs, and you eat a bag of Skittles with 50 grams of carbs, the amount of energy in each of those meals, or each of those like bowls or whatever, is the same. Right? They both have 200 calories. But what's going to happen is when you eat simple sugars, it spikes your blood sugar much faster than if you were to eat a complex carb like an oatmeal. So whenever I diet down, I mean way more complex carbs. Apart from pre-post workout, no fucking sugars. Just because when your blood sugar spikes, you feel good, but when it crashes, you feel hungry again. So that's where avoiding sugar in terms of just maintaining your build is going to be good for you, because it can kind of fuck up your appetite and your energy levels throughout the day. But all I'm trying to say there is post-workout, it's going to be good to get some complex carbs, to have some immediately usable energy, and just the carbs themselves to send into your fucking muscles to fill up your glycogen. Right? So really, that's like a fucking... It's like you plug your phone into a fast charger post-workout. Right? Just some quick fucking energy. That may not be the best analogy, but I don't think it's that bad. So that's all I'm trying to say there. Don't yeah, whatever. We'll move on to something else. So plan for tomorrow is arms, and I think that's probably a good idea. Like, I was gonna do hamstrings, arms, legs, chest. That was what I was going to kind of repeat for a little while. But I think it's better to do legs after chest. Because then tomorrow I have an arm day, which in terms of like systemic fatigue, it's kind of a lighter day, Like the amount of, let's just say, exhaustion that I'll feel after a hard arm day, it is not even, well, it's not that close to after today with just legs, even though I did way less sets. So, yeah, that could be a good idea. That's partially why I split up. Well, not really, but I used to do. This is one split I was doing for a while. I think it was the Arnold split. Legs, chest and back together, and then arms. I still wasn't doing shoulders at the time, because relative to my arms, my shoulders are overdeveloped. But when I do chest and back on the same day, man, it's just too much. So I split them up, and instead of making it a 3-day loop, it would be a 4-day loop. So just something to consider. That's yeah. Really, what I'm trying to say is, if you have a really hard and heavy lift, like something like a leg day, or even a back day is pretty intense, or chest, it may not be the worst idea to have kind of lighter lifts throughout the week. Because I'm not like a massive rest day advocate, in the sense that I'm very stingy with how many rest days I use. But I don't think it's completely motivated by my meatheadedness. There are days like my arm day, which is just fucking pretty chill. Honestly, in the split that I'm doing right now, which is hamstrings, arms, no, hamstrings, chest, quads, arms, hamstrings, I guess that'd be these ones. Hamstrings and arms are kind of the light days. I'm not dead after hamstrings and arms. Whereas chest and quads, those are kind of the heavier days in a way. So, yeah, just something to think about, you know. Maybe don't make every lift maximum effort in terms of, you know, weight. I was just saying this yesterday. It's not a bad idea to do some heavier days, and then if you're feeling a little bit more fatigued, but you don't want to take a rest day, you know, you don't feel that fatigued, then just do kind of a lighter day. It's never going to hurt you to have more variability in your training. So, I'm really getting into a fucking ramble here. What else? It's my spring break. I get a whole week off of school. I get a very late spring break too. You guys, anybody in a academic age group, be it high school or college, I'm like 90% sure you guys had your spring break like last month. So I get to make use of maybe the emptier gyms because everybody, I don't know, I get kind of curious about that kind of stuff, like the kind of global or just nationwide statistics about, you know, what age groups and what genders and whatever else kind of people are lifting the most. Ideally, it would be everybody. Because even if you don't want to be a fucking 260-pound behemoth to the point of, like, I mean, just insanity, it is going to be good for you to get in the gym, which sometimes could sound a little bit counterintuitive because obviously I want to go to the gym to, like, maximize my performance metrics in terms of size and a little bit of strength too, but, you know, mainly size. But that does not take away from the fact that fucking everybody should just be lifting. Even just a touch, man. I mean, you've seen, I don't know if, well, maybe you haven't seen them, but there's fucking scans, man. And it just makes sense, you know? Like, you ever see a 90-year-old dude, fucking spry as all hell, jumping around, like, doing shit? He didn't just win the fucking genetic lottery. He's probably been working out consistently, you know, and giving his body some stresses. You gotta remember, we're not just like sentient beings that were made to just exist in a very unchallenged state. You know, we evolved out of the fucking world, man. And guess what? It's rough out in the world. It's survival of the fittest. So, you know, to take the baseline of your, maybe not baseline, but if sort of predisposed and coded into your genetics, you were meant to be reasonably fucking active and run around and, like, I mean, I don't want to go Liver King mode here, but we were kind of built to be able to run around and hunt and fend for ourselves. To go from that to, you know, and even, I'm not even talking a long time ago. I mean, thousands of years ago, dudes with our same fucking genetics, for the most part, fuck, man, we were throwing spears around. To go from that sort of lifestyle to now, I mean, some people, how many hours? 8 hours of Fortnite a day, 7 hours of TikTok a day, some of those being concurrent. fuck, man. Not cool. Not awesome. You know? So, not saying don't do that, but even if you're kind of chronically, let's just say, seated, which fuck most of us are, be it work, school, or whatever, 90% of the time, everybody's just kind of sitting down, twiddling their thumbs, doing kind of nothing. And it's kind of surprising, I think, how little activity can kind of counteract that to an extent. Like 30 minutes of cardio a day, 1 hour of weight training a day, and then instead of being like a fucking frail, pale, alien looking character, it gets to be a little more fit. So I don't know if I'm doing the best job of like selling working out and being even just slightly jacked, but if you're watching this video, I think you've already taken the gym pill. You already know the gist. So I don't need to persuade you. You guys already get it. Except for the cardio part. Everybody loves weights. Everybody loves the lifts. Even though you probably skip leg days well on occasion. But for the most part, everyone loves the gym. Weight-wise. Weight training, nobody has an issue. When it comes to the cardio, a little more finicky. You know, that's where if I asked a classroom of lifters and I said, "What's your favorite dumbbell movement?" Everybody's going to raise their hand. "What's your favorite chest movement? What's your favorite lift?" Everybody's got their hands up. They're itching to answer. "What's your favorite cardio machine?" Everybody puts their head down. Everybody is looking every other direction but at me because they don't want me to call them out. Come on. Come on, man. You're leaving gains on the table. That's all I got to say there. But, yeah. A nice long ramble for you. But I think it's time to turn off the camera, get home, eat something as soon as possible, and then probably take a fucking nap. I'm so fucking tired right now. So plan for tomorrow. Arms. If whether or not I was going to have a good arm pump was on like sports books or like a sports betting app, the odds would be astronomical in one direction because it's a guarantee. It is a guarantee. So I just got to make sure I'm nice and well fed, rested, and hydrated for that. And I'm going to set myself up for success. So that's all I got. Last note, in terms of cardio, just keep it on your mind a little bit. Just think about it. Just think about it a little. I won't pester you too much. Just keep it on your mind. So I will see you tomorrow.